finally more people are starting to talk about what it's actually like working as a child-free or childless person in a workplace where all your colleagues are parents and you are the one constantly covering their shifts. Hey people, welcome back or to another video. For those of you who are new around here, a very warm welcome. I'm super grateful to have you come and join us on this channel. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down and going through this article that I found in the Daily Mail, where Samantha Jane Walsh apparently has never had a Boxing Day off for the past 20 years, thanks to having to constantly pick up her shifts from her colleagues who are parents. Let's get straight into it. As anyone who's worked in a shop in December will know, it's very hard, but there's a reason why it's been particularly unrelenting for me. I don't have children. And there is an exception that women like me will pick up the slack so mums can have time off with their families. A third of my team were mums, and as much as it pains me to say it, mums can be unreliable. When their child is ill, they get to take parental leave. That's the law. But I'm the one who has to cover their work, and there are times it's hard to be around them when this is happening repeatedly. Now, this was really interesting. I'm pretty sure you guys have either been in this situation before, or you may currently be experiencing this situation in your workplace right now. If you are, or you have any experiences, please let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to hear from your experiences as well. It is, in fact, a case that I've had to deal with for many, many years. Looking back at some of my previous jobs, I had to deal with this quite often. And at the time, because I was very, very young, I never really knew what to say or how to stand up for myself or how to challenge it, because I was a lot less confident than I am now, and I never knew how to address it. But there has been several jobs that I've been in where there's either like someone having to go like to hospital appointments, scans, blood work, you know, you name it. Even during the pregnancy, there's a time when the woman has to take so much time off work or either half days. And there was actually a time where I used to work this late shift in one of my jobs, like it was 9 till 6. And the only parent in our team was the only one who couldn't do that shift. She would like arrive at 10 and should arrive at 10 a.m. and leave at 3 p.m. every single day. She was exempt from the late shift because it didn't fit her and her child's schedule. And I remember at the time thinking like, oh my God, this is so ridiculous, but I don't know how to address it and I don't know what to say. I don't know what my rights are. Of course, this mother didn't have any other option at the time because that was her life. Like she didn't have anyone to help her out. But looking back on it now, as at my age, I don't know, maybe I would address it a little bit differently. But at the time, I remember not being able to address it because I was literally like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. She was the only one who was a parent on our team at the time. Nobody else had any kids. And it's also happened to me in another workplace where I was literally the only single child-free person at the time. I was single at the time. I wasn't married. And I'm not joking, everybody was getting pregnant one after the other. I think there must have been something in the air. But if you've ever worked in any kind of office environment, you'll know, well, not even office, like any environment, you'll know that it just takes one person to start the ball rolling. And then suddenly every man and his dog is having a fucking child, like seriously. But it wasn't until Christmas I'd become disillusioned by the disparity between the monumental effort I consistently ploughed into my career as a woman without children and the lack of recognition and reward I received in return. As a society, we support working parents, but the same kind of support is not offered to those like me. My dad is ill, but I knew I wouldn't have been granted any time off in the run-up to Christmas, paid or otherwise. Legally, you can get leave to deal with an emergency involving a child, grandchild, partner, or parent, but they have to be a dependent of yours and rely on you for their care. As my dad doesn't live with me, I don't qualify for time off to help him, which was super sad to actually hear because it is quite true. You know, kids aren't the only thing that we need time off for. People might need emergency time off for so many different things. And as Samantha mentioned in the article, her parents were unwell, like her dad was unwell. What if somebody's parents are unwell and we're the only carers for them? Like, what if my pets are unwell? What if I need to do an emergency run to the vet? You know, these are things that need to be taken into consideration as well. I do understand that sometimes the law is very much like, well, we need to kind of cut it off somewhere, I guess. But for me, I was literally like thinking of Ozzy and what if I need to do if I suddenly, like if he's not acting himself, if he needs to go to the vet. This is how easy it can be to kind of see that injustice between the two. And I totally do understand it, and I can see it from a parent's perspective. Is like, well, what do you want me to do? If my child's off sick, I need to physically be with them. Or if they're off school, I physically need to be with them. They're a minor, they need care, and childcare is expensive. I totally get that. However, I believe there should be something in the middle there, you know, some middle ground that kind of caters to, you know, us as the child free, not even just the child free. This woman in particular, she was talking about the childless women, you know, the women who it's just never happened for them. Maybe they tried, maybe it failed, maybe they had IVF and it failed. Like, these are the other people who are kind of getting all caught up in this, which is no fault of their own, because they were people who maybe even wanted children. It just didn't happen for them. So now they're kind of in a sticky situation of like, well, actually, I would have liked that time off with my kids, but you know, it just didn't happen for me. It's not my fault that I don't have kids. There's a difference when it comes to whether it's a choice or whether it's a circumstance. This is not to say that all parents are entitled. Now, there are a lot of entitled parents out there, unfortunately, who, they like the fact that they have that time off. They have that guaranteed summer. They have that guaranteed Christmas, that Easter, because their kids are off school. However, it's not really fair on those parents who they do make up their time. And I have worked with a fair share of parents who have put their time in, even if they've had to leave work early to maybe pick up a sick child from school or like do an emergency run somewhere or whatever the issue is. I have seen several parents who have actually said, do you know what, I'm coming in an extra half an hour or an extra hour, or, I'll make up my hours someplace else. And they have actually done that, to be fair to them. So I can also see two sides of the coin. And I do understand that as much as this is annoying, and a lot of people I've spoken to have been in this situation, there are decent parents out there who do not take the piss all the time. Parents shouldn't get priority, but inevitably they do. Or they simply phone in sick if you put them on the rota. Without wanting to sound like a martyr, I've worked every Boxing Day for the last 20 years. While mums point out they have family commitments, they forget I have them too. I'm a daughter and an aunt. I'm close to my parents, both in their 70s, and I want to be able to spend quality time with them. I want to be the one cooking for them. I don't want them worrying about me, and I know that they do, when they see me on Christmas afternoon exhausted and asleep on their sofa. I want to spend time with my 9-year-old nephew too. And she makes a very, very fair point here. I think a lot of people seem to forget that if you are not a parent, whether that's through circumstance or choice, it's not always a case of like you have no commitments at all. I have definitely mentioned this in many videos before. It doesn't mean we have an abundance of time or an abundance of energy or an abundance of money just because we don't have kids. This lady, as she's mentioned, she wants to spend time with her nephew. She wants to be with her parents. She wants to spend time with her parents while they're quite old and quite vulnerable and doesn't want them slaving around in the kitchen on Christmas Day. I can totally understand that. And this is exactly my point when I've said in so many other videos, and I've gotten angry about it even, is that people who have kids assume that everybody who doesn't have kids has all the time and energy in the whole wide world. Like, we never get stressed about anything. We don't have any responsibilities. We don't have any commitments, which of course is a complete load of bullshit. As you can see, we do have family commitments. We have pets to look after, we have mortgages to pay, we have bills to pay, we have rent to pay, we have jobs to turn up to. This is not all about like, I've got more responsibility than you, therefore I'm more important. And I think this is where lines get blurred and people get pissed off, is that parents seem to think that as soon as you don't have a child, you don't have a life worth living, or you don't have any kind of responsibility at all, or any kind of hobbies. And if you do have hobbies, it's like, well, so what? Like, who cares? If you don't have children, then you're completely worthless, is basically what a lot of parents' mindset is towards non-parents. And it finishes up. So finally, this Christmas, I'm reaping the rewards of my hard work. I had time to decorate my tree, something I never previously got to do. After proper quality time with my family this year, when everyone goes back to work in January, I'll be on a flight to Thailand with my partner Dave, and we'll spend 2 weeks island hopping in the sunshine. Now, what struck me was that when she said something I've never previously got to do when it comes to putting up the tree. And once again, I'd like to highlight that this lady is like, she doesn't have children, and yet every single Christmas she was so burnt out from work that she didn't have time to actually decorate her tree. I find it even more sad, specifically for those people who don't have children out of circumstance. It must be even worse, because people will just assume the worst about you without even knowing your story, and probably be asking you really insensitive questions, being really in your business. And yet this is actually something that they want. They want a loving family. They want to have children. It's just something that they cannot have been able to do for whichever reason. And yet there's still people out there who, these parents, I just imagine in my head, are like, elbowing us out of the way to get those annual leave dates and be like, well, I don't have a choice. Like, I have to be at home with my kids, which of course I've said before, I can totally understand. However, let's just spare a thought for those people who, they might not have children, whether it's by choice or not, but we still have commitments. We still have holidays as well. We still want to spend time with our nieces, with our nephews, with our pets, with our parents. Like, don't just kick us to one side because we live a different lifestyle to you. It doesn't mean that, we're less than or we're completely worthless. What got me as well is this woman worked solid months covering for her staff, barely having any time for herself, being so exhausted that she's flat out like fallen asleep on the couch at her parents' house, like at Christmas dinners, over the holidays. Yet us as child-free and childless are constantly told, you don't know what tired is. Well, we kind of do know what tired is, because we do have jobs as well. And now on top of that, especially during this season, we're now covering shifts for parents. So yeah, we do kind of know what tired is. We all know what tired is. It doesn't matter what kind of lifestyle you live. Everybody gets tired at some point. Go figure. So what are your experiences of parents, doing this in your workplace? What kind of industry are you in? Have you experienced this in your workplace? How have you gone about it? How has your manager gone about it? Or you might be a manager or a CEO of a company. How do you manage it from a CEO standpoint? Please let me know down below. I would love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, give this video a massive thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.